Stillness is not empty, it is alive. In the quietest moments, when the world seems to fade away, a message waits, a message so powerful that it can shift the way you feel, think, and even breathe. Today, you will discover why opening this message from God can make you the happiest person alive. Few realize that true clarity does not come from chasing, achieving, or seeking outside approval. It comes from the silence within, from a heart that listens without distraction. For centuries, Shaolin monks have guarded a secret. Inner stillness is the doorway to higher truths. In their temples, amidst the rhythm of disciplined practice, they learned that when the mind pauses, the soul speaks. Every breath, every small movement, every quiet observation holds a lesson that the world rarely teaches. These are not just ancient exercises. They are keys to unlocking a deeper awareness, a happiness that is untouchable by chaos or circumstance. In this video, you will learn how to connect with that stillness. You will understand how patience, integrity, and mindful attention reveal messages that often pass unnoticed. You will uncover hidden practices that harmonize your energy, align your purpose, and prepare you to receive blessings that arrive when the mind is calm and open. Some of these teachings were kept hidden for centuries, revealed only to those willing to sit with themselves and face their own thoughts. Now they are here for you. By the end of this video, you will see why happiness is not a destination, but a presence you carry when you listen deeply and surrender to what is greater than yourself. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. Stay with me until the very end, and do not forget to subscribe so that this wisdom can continue to guide you every day. Every breath carries a world within it. Often we rush through life, letting inhalations and exhalations slip unnoticed, unaware that each one is a bridge between our body, mind, and spirit. In the quiet of a temple, a Shaolin master once showed me that the true rhythm of life is found not in movement or noise, but in the gentle rise and fall of the chest, in the silent hum that accompanies every breath. When you breathe with awareness, something shifts. Thoughts that once crowded the mind begin to settle. Emotions that surged like untamed rivers slow, finding their own course. Breath becomes more than oxygen. It becomes a compass, pointing inward, guiding you to a place where clarity and calm reside. Every inhale draws life in. Every exhale releases tension, doubt, and distraction. The simple act of noticing this flow transforms the ordinary into sacred practice. Shaolin teachings reveal that breath is energy. It is the thread that stitches together intention and action, consciousness and presence. Monks spent hours refining this practice, discovering that a controlled, mindful breath can anchor the mind, balance the body, and illuminate the spirit. There is a subtle power here, a quiet authority, that awakens when we move from mindless inhalation to deliberate awareness. Even in the chaos of the world, one can return to the center. Close your eyes and follow the rise and fall of your chest. Feel the life force moving in, moving out. Notice how tension melts, how the heart softens, and how a small, almost imperceptible doorway opens within you, a doorway through which divine guidance can quietly enter. Breath is not just survival. It is the key to presence, the language of the soul, and the first step toward receiving what is waiting quietly, patiently, beyond the noise. Integrity is not a lesson written in books. It is lived quietly, in moments no one observes. The Shaolin masters often say that the mind can wander, the heart can falter, but when thought, word, and action remain in harmony, a profound peace takes root. Personal mastery begins here, not in grand achievements, but in the simple, steadfast choice to honor truth within every decision. Long ago, a young monk struggled with jealousy, anger, and hidden desires. His teacher did not scold him. Instead, he placed a small bowl of water in front of him and asked him to walk around it each day carefully, without spilling a drop. At first, the monk failed, but over time he learned that discipline in even the smallest acts mirrored the discipline of the heart. To act with integrity was to move deliberately, with awareness, and with respect for both self and the unseen laws that govern life. When actions align with inner values, life flows differently. There is a lightness in speech, a steadiness in movement, a quiet confidence in being. The mind no longer battles itself with secrets or contradictions. Happiness is not forced. It rises naturally when inner truth meets outward expression. This is the essence of self-mastery, the art of being undivided, of standing firm even when circumstances tempt compromise. Ancient wisdom reminds us that dishonesty, even in small ways, fractures the soul's rhythm. Conversely, integrity restores it. Each choice to remain truthful, even when unnoticed, sharpens awareness, strengthens willpower, and cultivates harmony between what we feel and what we do. In this balance, the heart opens, the mind clears, and the path forward becomes visible. Integrity, then, is not merely virtue, it is the foundation upon which mastery, peace, and true happiness are built. Patience is often mistaken for inaction, yet in the quiet moments of waiting, mastery is forged. In the Shaolin temples, monks learned that life unfolds according to its own rhythm, not ours. Every movement, every breath, every thought carries its own timing. To force, to push, or to rush is to invite confusion and unrest. True understanding emerges when one aligns with the natural flow of life. A story tells of a student who sought enlightenment with urgency, pressing for signs, answers, and progress. Frustrated by delay, he demanded guidance from his teacher. The master simply handed him a stone and told him to polish it each day, observing its surface over months. At first, the task seemed endless, dull, even meaningless. Yet, through repeated patient effort, the stone gradually revealed its hidden sheen. So too the student discovered the path of life reveals its lessons only in their own time. Rushing obscures what is already present, while patience illuminates the subtle truths that wait quietly. Mindfulness teaches that patience begins with the self. We are often our harshest judges, pressing for immediate change or instant results. By observing our thoughts without judgment, we learn to release the grip of urgency. This gentle discipline allows clarity to emerge, reducing inner conflict and cultivating contentment. Ancient wisdom whispers that the universe is precise, and every moment carries purpose. When we trust this timing, we align our actions with a greater order, moving gracefully rather than fighting the current. Patience is not passive, it is an active presence, a refined strength that steadies the mind and strengthens the spirit. In embracing it, the heart softens, the mind clears, and we begin to recognize that life's unfolding is already perfect. The world speaks in whispers, not shouts. Often the most profound messages arrive in ways so subtle they can be missed entirely. A shift in the wind, a fleeting expression, the pause between words. Shaolin masters teach that awareness is not merely seeing or hearing. It is feeling the currents of life as they flow, without judgment or expectation. To cultivate this awareness is to open a door to wisdom hidden in plain sight. A young disciple once wandered the forest, searching for answers to questions that weighed heavily on his heart. Each step seemed ordinary, until he noticed the pattern of falling leaves, gentle, deliberate, in perfect rhythm with the breeze. Day after day he observed these small movements, realizing that nature itself was teaching him the subtlety of timing, the balance of giving and letting go. Slowly he understood that life's guidance often arrives in gestures that are easy to dismiss but impossible to ignore when seen with quiet attention. Mindfulness trains the mind to notice these signs, not to grasp them or control them, but simply to witness. Each observation becomes a mirror, reflecting the harmony between the self and the world. In Shaolin practice, this is cultivated through patience, stillness, and disciplined attention to every action, no matter how small. As subtle signals are recognized, gratitude naturally follows. The smallest lessons, once overlooked, reveal the intricate design of existence. Awareness transforms ordinary experiences into profound insights, teaching that nothing is insignificant and that every moment carries guidance. This is the art of inner mastery, to perceive the unseen, to honor the quiet, and to move through life attuned to the subtle symphony that surrounds us. By learning to listen deeply, the heart opens, understanding grows, and life unfolds with clarity, purpose, and grace. True mastery is not born from grand gestures, but from the quiet devotion of daily practice. In the early hours of dawn, monks in the Shaolin temples rise before the sun not to impress, but to align themselves with the rhythm of life. Each movement, each breath, each gesture is intentional, a small thread woven into the larger fabric of self-mastery. Discipline is cultivated not in extraordinary moments, but in the repetition of ordinary acts performed with presence and purpose. A novice once struggled with restlessness, believing that enlightenment required sudden revelation. His teacher handed him a simple task: bow at the temple gates each morning, meditate in silence for 10 minutes, and practice mindful walking in the courtyard. At first, the routine seemed monotonous, yet over weeks the novice began to feel a subtle shift. His thoughts steadied, his emotions softened, and a sense of calm began to anchor him. Through repetition, he discovered that each ritual was a doorway, not just to self-discipline, but to awareness, connection, and inner peace. Daily rituals are more than habits, they are offerings to the self and to the unseen. Morning reflection grounds intention, evening silence offers insight, and mindful movement bridges body and spirit. The discipline of returning, day after day, to these practices builds a rhythm in life that cannot be shaken by chaos or distraction. Ancient wisdom teaches that happiness is not found in fleeting experiences, but in the steadiness of a mind trained through consistent attention. When rituals are embraced with patience and sincerity, they become vessels of transformation. The heart learns to settle, the mind becomes clear, and the spirit grows resilient. In this disciplined devotion, one discovers the profound truth that mastery is cultivated not in a single moment of brilliance, but in the quiet, purposeful return to what nourishes the soul again and again. Happiness often hides behind expectation, waiting to be discovered only after a goal is achieved. Yet the Shaolin masters have long understood that true joy does not come from reward or recognition. It is found in the purity of effort, in the discipline of action performed without clinging to result. Life, like the flow of a river, cannot be forced. The mind that grasps too tightly risks missing its own reflection in the water. A young student once labored tirelessly in the courtyard, striving to perfect a form he had practiced for months. He measured progress by praise and visible success, growing frustrated when the results faltered. Observing him, the master simply said, "Focus on the movement, not the applause. The form itself contains the lesson." At first, the student resisted, unable to let go of his attachment to outcome. Slowly, with patient practice, he began to move with awareness rather than expectation. Each step became its own purpose, each motion a meditation. In this surrender, he discovered a quiet joy that no praise could create, a satisfaction rooted in presence, not achievement. Non-attachment is not indifference, it is discipline of the mind. Shaolin and mindfulness teachings guide us to invest fully in action while releasing the need to control the result. This practice trains patience, sharpens awareness, and reduces the turbulence of craving. When the heart lets go of the illusion that happiness depends on external conditions, peace rises naturally. Life's mysteries unfold when the mind becomes a still vessel, open to experience without clinging. Detachment does not diminish effort, it elevates it. The act itself becomes sacred, and in this freedom from expectation, the soul finds its own reward. Joy, unbound by outcome, blooms quietly, steady and enduring, a reflection of mastery lived from within. Energy is the silent current that moves within and around us, often unnoticed yet shaping every thought, emotion, and action. Shaolin masters speak of qi, the life force that flows through the body, linking mind, body, and spirit. To harness it is to awaken a clarity that goes beyond intellect, a wisdom that guides action with precision, calm, and purpose. Those who learn to cultivate this energy discover the difference between reacting out of impulse and responding with awareness. A young disciple once struggled with anger that flared at the slightest frustration. The master taught him to sit in stillness each morning, feeling the subtle rise and fall of energy within his body. Slowly, the disciple began to notice how emotions moved like waves, sometimes gentle, sometimes turbulent. By observing the flow instead of resisting it, he learned to align his breath and intention with the energy, letting it settle rather than explode. Over time, the once volatile mind became steady, capable of responding to challenges without being swept away. Shaolin teachings emphasize that this mastery of energy is not about force or control over others. It is about self-discipline, awareness, and alignment. Every movement, every posture, every breath is a conversation with life energy. By understanding personal patterns, one can navigate moments of tension, fatigue, or uncertainty with grace rather than chaos. The practice of harnessing inner energy strengthens resilience, allowing the heart to remain calm even in storms. Joy emerges naturally when energy flows unblocked, when the mind is centered, and when the body acts in harmony with intention. This discipline is a quiet power, cultivated over time, invisible to the eye but unmistakable in its effect. It teaches that the mastery of life begins not in outward achievements, but in the still, deliberate guidance of the energy that courses within. True strength is not measured by power over others, but by the depth of care we carry in our hearts. Shaolin masters have long understood that compassion is not a weakness. It is a discipline, a practice that refines the mind as much as any physical training. Happiness, they teach, grows when it is shared, when empathy becomes a bridge connecting one soul to another. A novice once arrived at the temple, proud of his skill and achievement, yet inwardly restless. The master assigned him to care for the wounded animals that wandered near the monastery. At first the task seemed humble, even tedious. But as he tended to the fragile lives before him, he began to notice the quiet resilience of the creatures, their trust and their simple gratitude. Each act of care became a lesson, revealing that attention, patience, and gentle intention held a power far greater than mastery of any technique. Slowly, the novice discovered that kindness was a form of strength, a way to steady the mind and soften the heart. Shaolin teachings emphasize that service to others is not separate from self-mastery. By extending compassion, the ego softens, pride diminishes, and awareness expands. One begins to perceive the interconnectedness of all beings, the subtle threads linking every life, every thought, every action. Spiritual growth emerges naturally when we see ourselves as part of this greater whole, recognizing that true peace cannot exist in isolation. Compassion becomes a mirror of inner discipline. Every act of kindness trains patience, sharpens presence, and cultivates a joy that is independent of circumstance. In embracing empathy and connection, the heart opens to the world's quiet rhythms. Happiness deepens not through accumulation or achievement, but through the simple, disciplined practice of caring, giving, and honoring the life that moves alongside our own. The heaviest chains we carry are often invisible, forged by the desire to control, to predict, to hold tightly to outcomes. Shaolin masters teach that the mind clinging to certainty obscures the clarity of life. True freedom emerges only in the moment we release the need to direct every step, when the heart allows itself to flow with what is greater than the self. Surrender is not a loss, it is a disciplined act, a conscious opening of the door to unseen guidance. A young monk once arrived at the monastery, eager to master every form and technique. He demanded progress, impatient for recognition, yet found his energy scattered and his spirit restless. The master led him to a quiet hall, handing him a simple wooden bell. "Ring it when you feel ready," the master said. Days passed. The monk tried to force it, to strike it with intention, yet the sound remained hollow. Only when he let go of expectation, letting his hand move without insistence, did the bell resonate with a deep, pure tone. In that instant, he felt a release, a surrender that was not weakness, but presence. The lesson was clear. Control blocks life. Release allows it to speak. Mindfulness teaches the same truth. By observing thoughts without clinging, by letting plans and anxieties soften, we step into a rhythm aligned with purpose rather than resistance. Opening oneself to divine guidance requires humility, patience, and trust. It asks the discipline to listen, to pause, and to follow rather than demand. In surrender, the ego ceases to dominate and the heart awakens. Peace flows where struggle once ruled. Happiness is no longer a distant prize, but a living presence, cultivated not through effort alone, but through the quiet, courageous act of letting go and trusting what life and what is beyond life chooses to reveal. The mind is like a mirror, often clouded by habit, distraction, and unexamined thought. Shaolin masters have long understood that true mastery begins with reflection, an honest, patient look into the patterns that shape our actions, our emotions, and our responses to the world. Without this practice, even discipline in movement or meditation remains surface deep. With it, every moment becomes a teacher, every experience an opportunity to refine the self. A young student once complained that progress in his training felt slow and uncertain. The master handed him a simple journal and instructed him to write each evening, thoughts observed, emotions felt, moments of resistance noticed. At first the student struggled, seeing little value in noting what seemed ordinary. Yet as days passed, patterns began to emerge, reactions triggered by pride, fear, or impatience, recurring habits that drained energy and clouded judgment. Through this reflection he gained insight, recognizing where change was needed and where acceptance was wise. Slowly the chaos of unexamined impulses gave way to clarity, intention, and balance. Self-reflection is more than observation. It is an act of discipline. Meditation deepens it, allowing the mind to witness itself without judgment. Journaling anchors it, giving shape to thought and insight. Shaolin teachings emphasize that growth does not come from action alone, but from understanding the self in motion and at rest. In this continuous practice, the heart learns patience, the mind cultivates clarity, and the spirit strengthens. Happiness becomes sustained, no longer dependent on fleeting circumstances, because it is rooted in awareness and understanding. Reflection transforms ordinary life into a path of mastery, where every choice, every habit, and every thought is illuminated. In this quiet, deliberate turning inward, the self becomes both student and teacher, and the journey of growth unfolds with calm precision and enduring joy. True happiness is not found in chasing, striving, or seeking outside approval. It grows quietly through stillness, awareness, and mastery of the self. The wisdom of Shaolin, the practice of mindfulness, and the discipline of daily reflection guide us to see the subtle messages that life and God place before us every day. When we cultivate integrity in our actions, patience in our hearts, compassion toward others, and the courage to surrender the ego, we align with a higher rhythm. In this alignment, blessings flow naturally and joy emerges not as a fleeting feeling but as a steady presence within. The teachings shared today are not meant for theory alone. Take a moment each day to pause, breathe deeply, observe the subtle signs around you, and reflect on your own path. Let your actions, no matter how small, be guided by intention, awareness, and kindness. In this practice, mastery of the self becomes not a goal, but a way of living, and happiness becomes a companion, quietly and faithfully. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you found value in these lessons, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, Shaolin Soulfire, so that this wisdom can continue to guide you every day. May your heart be calm, your mind clear, and your spirit open to the deepest joy that awaits.